Hi skiers, I'm Jeff from Skiessentials.com. Welcome to episode 17 of our Top 5 Fridays news videos. We're back after taking a week or a day off last week, so thank you for bearing with us. Big reason why we did is we were finishing up the 2021 ski test, which if you're a subscriber of our YouTube channel, you probably know is live, because we flooded your YouTube feed with like 270 videos. So apologies to anybody who couldn't find anything but Ski Essentials videos for a couple days. We think about it a lot, how to release these videos. Ultimately, the decision is, if we do them all in bulk like that, our thought process is, we'll dominate your YouTube feed for hopefully at most 2 or 3 days, and then it'll go back from to normal. Releasing 270 videos is tricky. It would take just about a year, or the better part of a year, if we did them day by day. Even if we did it brand by brand, it would be about 20 videos per day, give or take, for like 3 weeks. So we think about this stuff a lot, and we try and make it or the least impact on your YouTube feed as possible. We got a lot of really good comments from people and some suggestions, so as I replied to those comments, we will continue to reassess kind of the best ways to release all those videos. But yeah, that's actually our number 1 news topic for this week, is just that the ski test is live. So definitely go check it out if you haven't already. There's a few more features that we want to add in. We're going to add in some filters and stuff like that, so it's a little easier to find the ski that works for you. But for the most part, everything's in there. All the content's in there. All the data and information is in there. If you're unfamiliar with our ski tests in general, this is our 4th annual ski test, and from the get-go, we set out to do things a little bit differently. Traditional ski tests generally rank skis numerically from best to worst. We are of the understanding and have the thought process that ski performance is very subjective, for one thing, and no one's really making a bad ski anymore. So it's pretty hard just to slap a numerical score on a ski and list things from best to worst objectively. That's just not really a fair way to do it, in our opinion. So our ski test is focused on describing the characteristics and the attributes and the capabilities of a ski in an attempt to match it to a certain type of skier. Take an individual, sure, there's going to be a best, better, worse, whatever ski for that person, but it's really hard to generalize that for the full skiing community. So you won't find skis listed from best to worst. You will find a lot of qualitative information describing skis. And as always, let us know if you have any questions. We genuinely love talking about skis and helping people find the right ski for them. So certainly don't hesitate to reach out. We've gotten a lot of comments on YouTube and on the ski test itself in the past few days. So thank you for that. And yeah, that's it. So ski test is live, which is great. Now I can go back to doing other stuff like our full-length reviews and stuff like that. So that's news topic number 1 of the week. Number 2, out of Colorado, Silverton, Colorado is looking to kind of revitalize the local community ski hill, which is called Kendall Mountain. So if you're familiar with Silverton Mountain, which is in Silverton, the town, is very well known for its kind of backcountry skiing. The resort itself is focused on backcountry skiing. This article was from the Colorado Sun. Great article. Definitely go check it out. So town officials are looking to develop Kendall Mountain to basically help, boost the local economy, create some long-term growth and more stability for the community in general. So they're working with a company called SE Group, which is a resort planning agency, and they essentially put out requests for proposals, of ways to partner with the town. Companies can propose to partner with the town to help with this development. They got a bunch of different proposals. I'm not going to go through all of them, but if you're interested, they do list a lot of those proposals. And there's essentially 2 front runners. One is from Mountain Capital Partners, and they are implementing 5 new chairlifts over 300 acres, which would be a pretty massive influx of, infrastructure. The other is from Silverton Mountain, they're focusing on just putting in a singular chairlift, and kind of citing their own business model, like, hey, this is really all it takes to kind of increase interest in the resort and increase what people can do at the resort. So this will be really fun to watch. We love these stories. We've looked at Saddleback in Maine a lot. I love kind of stories of revitalizing ski hills that haven't received as much attention over recent years. So ultimately, whoever gets it between those two, I know it'll be great for the community, great for the town. So really cool to see. And I'd love to go ski Silverton. I've actually never skied there. Our customer service manager, Mike, has taken frequent trips to Silverton and absolutely loves it. So maybe I'll have to piggyback on one of his ski trips and get down there. Next up, we have another COVID-19 complication going into the ski season. We've talked about this stuff a lot. Just as a general reminder, we as Ski Essentials are not advocating for just having a ski season at whatever cost to humanity and society and people. Ultimately, we as a company care way more about the health and safety of our country and everybody in the world rather than the ability to go skiing. That said, we love skiing, so we like to be optimistic and look at things with a glass half full type of attitude, so to speak. So we've talked about stuff like this a lot over the summer and back in the spring when we started these videos. This one is focused on ski buses. So this is coming out of Crested Butte News, and essentially, if you've gone to a major ski resort, you've seen these buses, big charter buses essentially, where they're taking people. Like here in Stowe, we see a lot of buses from the Boston area that come up. It's fairly reasonable cost for somebody to get on one of these buses, and then they don't have to drive and stuff like that. So it is currently expected that bus capacity, capacity on these ski buses will be reduced to 20% for COVID-19 concerns. Now that means, depending on the size of the bus, it's either going to be somewhere from 19 to 24 passengers. So that's not too bad. Essentially, to cite some statistics from last year, the average bus trip had 23 people. So we're falling within that range, and potentially it might not have a huge impact on what people are planning to do. Now, there's a couple variables here. Obviously, there's more than a couple variables, but a couple obvious ones. If restrictions were to tighten, regardless of the region, that number could go down to 9. That number could go down to 0. That would obviously cause a problem. And then they also were citing powder days. So powder days, buses had more like 60 people. Now, that clearly 60 people is far outside the 19 to 24 capacity, which would ultimately mean if all 60 of those people still wanted to go skiing, there's going to be way more traffic, way more cars on the road. And we've talked about that this summer too, citing kind of the Little Cottonwood Canyon project. More cars on the road going to a ski hill puts a lot of strain on infrastructure. We see it here in Stowe. We're seeing it in a ton of different places around the country. So that's a potential scenario. But of course, this stuff could all be restricted by just the capacity of each resort. So this is going to be another thing that we're going to continually watch here at Ski Essentials. Anytime we hear an update, we'll try and share it with you. Clearly, there's a lot to figure out in the months to come before we enter ski season, and we will continue to watch it as closely as possible. Fourth story of the week. This one's kind of going back onto another theme that we touched on throughout the summer, and this is surrounding racial discrimination in winter sports, and specifically an article that was put out by the U.S. ski team highlighting the story of Lauren Samuels, who is a former U.S. ski team member who happens to be black. And she was invited recently to speak on a virtual diversity panel, and I really encourage you to go read her story because it's really interesting and pretty eye-opening. We all know, or hopefully we all know, that these things are happening. It's another thing to read a first-person anecdotal story. So definitely encourage you to do that. And she kind of goes through some of the nuances and assumptions and stereotypes of being a black athlete in a white-dominated sport. She brings up a couple examples, like the one that Matt cited in the written portion of this article. Some of her fellow U.S. ski team members were, kind of citing the fact that she was black when she broke the vertical leap record in one of her first days at the training facility. Now, maybe those people were doing it in a positive, joking way, whatever. But still, these are the things that we need to address as a ski community and just as a society in general. So really interesting. And then she also discusses ways of working towards more diversity, which, if you remember a few weeks back, I kind of posed that question to you guys of ways we can work towards more diversity. And the things that she focused on mostly were marketing decisions and recruitment methods. So it's really hard to look at a sport and not see yourself reflected in that sport. For me as a white male growing up, I saw a lot of white men in the sport of skiing, and it was easy for me to associate with that. You don't see much ski marketing material with persons of color, and I think that would be a really, really great place to start. I think things like that go a long way. If a major organization is choosing that method in their marketing, the trickle-down effect, so to speak, is huge. And then also she talks about recruitment methods, and overall, this is in an attempt to get more representation of diversity, in an attempt to start, kind of a long overdue process of widening skiing's scope of inclusion in general, which I think is important. We love this sport, and I think I want to share this sport with as many people as possible, because it's the best activity in the world. You guys know that. I know that. Let's share it with as many people as possible and make it as accessible as possible. Obviously, accessibility is going to be tricky with COVID-19, but we can look past a global pandemic, hopefully, and really start to think about the future and how we can make things better. And then finally, we have our edits of the week. Pretty darn good week for edits. First up, we have Tanner Hall's Forever trailer. So all of Tanner Hall's films recently have been really good. When I say recently, I mean like the past 10 years. Most of them tell more of a story than just being like a bunch of really great ski shots all put together. This looks like it's following that same trend. Most of the trailer is just an interview with Tanner with a little bit of ski footage thrown in there. But these kind of things give me chills, and this trailer is a perfect example. It certainly was sending some chills up my spine when I watched it. Next, we have a short ski film called Lost from Brody Levin. And this is a super compelling, very personal story, and really highlights the personal, the mental and physical and personal challenges of going out in the backcountry and accomplishing a challenging technical backcountry trip, and specifically a challenging technical line on a backcountry trip. So about 14 or 15 minutes long, if I remember correctly. really, really good film. I definitely encourage you to watch it from beginning to end. I would venture a guess that as soon as you start it, you won't be able to stop, because that was my case. But yeah, great short film. And then lastly, we have the 25th anniversary film from TGR, the trailer, called Make Believe, which looks great. You know, TGR makes some of the premier ski films in the world. This one looks like it's right up that alley. Starts with some kind of voiceover from Sammy Carlson, and they bring in a few other athletes right at the beginning, and then works its way into some pretty darn impressive shots. Most impressive to me, it was only about a second or half a second clip, but it looked like a big old double cork 1080. I think it was a road gap, but either one, it must have been, whether it was a cliff drop or a road gap, it was about what I would estimate as 60 feet down, which it's really, really hard to do tricks like that when you're falling. I myself, as a somewhat formally trained, I guess I'm not formally trained, but I have a formal coaching license now. It is far easier to do anything like that, specifically double corks, or when you're getting up into those multiple flip maneuvers. Way easier to do that when you are going up to an apex of your height and then coming back down. So that was just mind-blowing to me. And that's it. That's Top 5 Fridays. Definitely check out the ski test. Like I said at the beginning, if you have any recommendations for us of things that we could do to the ski test, ways we could make it better going forward, we're always looking to improve upon it, and we will certainly do so for the 2022 ski test, which, God, it's weird. This time of year is always kind of strange for me because it's still 2020, but very soon I will start looking at 2022 skis, which, yeah, that's a bit of a, maybe not quite yet. Give myself some time on 2021 skis. But yeah, that's it. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Appreciate you watching. Let us know if you have any questions about 2021 skis. We're happy to help. And hopefully soon we'll see you out there on the slopes. More immediately, maybe I'll see you on the golf course. I'm about to head out and play a 9-hole scramble with old Bob St. Pierre. So wish us luck, and we'll talk to you guys soon.